Hello, and welcome back to the Trip and F1ll podcast. I can't remember what episode we're on. Let me just check real quick. I really should have come in prepared, but I'd say about if I had to guess 8. It's pretty bad that I don't know my own podcast. It's been a while since we've recorded. So wait, hold on. It would be 8. It was 8. Okay. Just trust my gut. Didn't want someone to fact check me though, so yeah. Well, we're back. I want to say semi-regular podcasts. I think I got past that little bit of like rough patch where I didn't have too much time up my sleeve, so I wanted to concentrate on other things, and now I think I'm a bit more chill. By semi-regular, I mean like maybe maybe an episode a month or something, or 2 episodes a month. Nothing too big. I think I changed my mind on also the F1 manager. I think we will. I think with the F1 manager, my plan is I'm going to release one more episode of 2022, then skip to 2023. So like just play a bit of in my off time if I have time, and then get to 2023 and then start the episodes again. Maybe I'll stream some my 2022 and until we get to 2023, then I'll start making videos again. I don't know about the AI. We could probably still do the AI predictions. But yeah, no. I thought, yeah, why not? Let's go back to podcasts. I'm a bit bored. I need to keep myself distracted, and I think this is a good way to keep myself distracted, especially while the internet isn't the best. Because otherwise, I'd probably have a Valorant addiction instead of it. Since the internet's not amazing here, the ping's a bit high, and that does not go well with Valorant. But anyways, yeah. I don't know how quiet I am. I feel like I'm a bit more quiet than normal, just because I'm still a bit sick. But anyways, we'll get into the episode. This time, well, I want to say it's post testing observations, but as I'm recording this, this is the well, last night I watched FP1 and FP2. So it's kind of like test observations. Then, if you count like maybe the first 2 practice sessions as kind of tests, well, there were test sessions for Stroll who missed out on the 3 days. So yeah, let's just say they're like 3.5 days of testing. The 2 practice sessions are like a half quarter of a day, another whatever. I think it it's kind of me cheating because obviously we saw a bit in FP1, FP2, and I already know that like I probably would have been wrong on a few things just based off testing. But a few things I think I would have been right with either way. But I will factor in what I've seen in FP1, FP2. So yeah, it's a post testing observation kind of season preview. What do we know so far really early on in the season? Like everything could change, like FP3 quality. I doubt it's going to go too mad, but like I'm thinking like for example, maybe even the race it'll just go back to Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes, Aston Martin, like instead of like Aston Martin being a decent chance of a podium this season. So yeah, I'm gonna record this now and hopefully get this out on the same day before we see quali. Hopefully, I just want to not be too outdated at like what happened with the other video I had. I think it was the preseason predictions video, which I released a little bit late, but my predictions still stood. But yeah, no. Anyways, yeah, let's just get into it. Not mess around too much. Um, I think we're just starting off in a random order, but the big three teams first. Red Bull, really don't need to say much. They're the fastest car. If there was one thing that was like really just, I'm sorry, I'm a bit sniffy and, maybe not the best, but hey, I did want to get this out and I feel well enough. No, Red Bull, I think if there's any like guarantees, is that Red Bull will be the fastest car early on in the season. I can't see. Look, if Aston Martin pulls something out of their ass and Alonso beats Verstappen this weekend somehow, I'll be like, what the? That's the only thing I'm thinking. Maybe Ferrari fixes a few things and challenges Red Bull, but I think just even with the reliability and even the challenging Aston Martin and all that, I still think Red Bull have got a really decent advantage for someone who I think no, they didn't lose. No, no, no. So I don't think they. Okay, how? Because I think the thing to watch out for this season, obviously, it's they're fast right now, but the wind tunnel effects, loss of wind tunnel effects come in. I think from this season on. So obviously, it's going to affect their postseason, their season during their season improvement. So I think they won't be able to do as many upgrades, and they might lose some traction. And I think obviously the wind tunnel will affect because they work on developing next year's car using this year's wind tunnel time, I believe. I think F1 Manager told me that. F1 Manager 2022 told me a bit about that. So I think whatever they've got now might be the best they've got, and then they need to hold on, kind of like Braun GP in 2009 when they were kind of going broke throughout the season, so they really just had to hold on by a string. No, I don't think it'll be that bad with Red Bull, but I still think they could lose a bit of traction. That's the only time I'm thinking maybe Aston Martin could have an upper edge during later in the season, but I'll talk about Aston Martin a bit. I think Red Bull fastest car now, we can tell. What happens later on? That's what I really want to know. I'm hoping they still have a fast car. I'm hoping they have a fast car, but there's still some competitors. Fucking a four-way battle would be amazing. Like that's even better than. I mean, I would take a three-way battle, except Mercedes is in the midfield instead of Aston Martin, But no, four-way battle would be fucking crazy. Yeah, no, I mean, there's not much else to say about it, I don't think. Sadly, Red Bull have been pretty boring. They were pretty boring with their livery, and they were pretty boring with pre-season is that they were fast, which you would think is boring, but it's boring that it's just so obvious. I think the 9 other teams, I could see them changing a lot, even in the next few races. And the order just goes crazy. I think Red Bull being at the top is the only thing we can know about the order right now. But like I said, that might change throughout the season. Would be interesting to see Red Bull fall into second, maybe really hurting from the lack of wind tunnel time. I don't think they'll be that bad though. What I think is that they have a good and decent enough advantage that I don't think the wind tunnel will hit them too bad throughout the season. I think they've still got enough advantage that I think they will be the fastest or nearly the fastest car, even with that. But it all depends on other teams though, because other teams do look promising. I think maybe next year is when you start to see a slightly declined Red Bull because they lost that wind tunnel time. And I don't know, it depends because you don't think, oh, it's not that much time they've lost. They haven't lost the whole wind tunnel time or something. But everything matters a lot. And I think if you have teams like Aston Martin really breathing down their throat, you have McLaren, who's obviously, come far back. But again, their wind tunnel's gonna open, and you can open this year, I think, and you can see even with Asmar how much they've you know how much improvement they've had. Um, just over the off season, think about how I think McLaren could bounce back next year as well. I think there's it's so many challenges where it's like, would Red Bull, is it guaranteed that Red Bull will keep that this season? Will they keep it next season? I think that'll be the story to really see with Red Bull. How long will they be the fastest car? And will how hard will the wind tunnel reductions hit them? But yeah, straightforward. I guess you could say Red Bull is smooth operator right now. They don't have to worry. They just slab through. Um, but yeah, no. Look, I think I've got Mercedes next. I probably should put Ferrari, but I'll tell you what I've got for Mercedes. I I wanted to go for hot take because, and the more I heard about testing, the more I was like, oh, no, I can't say this. I can't. I thought they could have leapfrog Ferrari. The two things I think that really made me think were that made me question that and really like, oh, I can't even say that, is one, people like Hamilton saying, this car's not in a great place right now. And it's, and I'm telling you right now, I think I've said this to a few people. I think the story of testing has really been, has a team be comfortable with their car? Because if they've been comfortable with their car and they haven't performed great, then that's a good thing because trust the drivers, right? Trust the drivers to know how good their car actually is. But you could say that for Alpine and like FP1, FP2. Alpine haven't really been. Maybe they have a bit of extra place. Gasly, Ocon both seem to be saying. I don't know. And Mercedes and McLaren obviously saying, ugh, a car. Bleh. Um, I wanted to go hot take and just say they will do better than Ferrari. But obviously FP1, FP2, they didn't do as great as well. I said May suffer some losses early on, which I think is still the case. But here's the problem, because I think, look, the chances are Ferrari sorts their issues out, but they did have V8 issues. FP2 with the rear just shaking, just a wiggle. I think that's an easy-ish fix, kind of like in preseason testing, you saw the nose kind of go there. But it is worrying about Ferrari. So I think Mercedes, it could go back and forth in Mercedes and Ferrari, but that does leave room with them both struggling for another person to leapfrog both of them very early on. I think you can only really determine early on the season right now. Again, it could change so much. It could really change so much. So I won't start talking like, well, maybe they'll jump back. Maybe a Mercedes would be better than Ferrari. Here's the other hot take I will say about Mercedes, seeing how they've done. If they don't fix their shit, I think this could be the car that forces Lewis into retirement. I think 2 years in a row, if Lewis has that shit car in a Mercedes, where is Lewis gonna go? That like maybe he says he wants to race 2 or 3 more years, whatever. Where does he go? Do him and McLaren have a switch? It's like, does fucking he join Red Bull and say kick out Perez? It's like, let me in the car. I don't think Red Bull would accept that. I think that's too much risk. The only thing I can think of is probably put him as man next to Alonso. I think I think Lawrence would have to be pretty delusional if he gets the chance to put Lewis in his car and he says, "No, I'm going to keep my son." Well, he is pretty delusional, but yeah, no, I don't know if that's delusional. So like it's like I think one, George Russell does decent. Two, the car is shit. I think that could be enough to put Lewis in the situation to just call it quits mid-season. Just say, I'm not signing another contract. I'm retiring for F1 at the end of season. You know, the typical. Um, pull a bit of a Seb. I don't know. I think that's. I have been saying that for years, though. I have been saying that for years. Since I think 2020, I've been saying, oh, after this year, after this year. No, even 2020, I didn't think. I think it was probably after 2021 I said, oh, after 2022 I said, oh yeah, during the season break he's going to retire, and then I'm saying this year he's going to retire, and then I'm going to I should calm down retirement, rumors. But I do think honestly that Lewis is at very big risk of just calling it quits because look, if I was him, I wouldn't want to go to call it quits. I would just be like, end on a high note. That's where you have like late night gaming. It's like can't lose, end on a lose, can't end on a lose. 10 games later, you're still losing. It's like, um, can't end on a loss. I mean, but no, I think at some point you have to say, I'm getting older. Kind of like what Sebastian Vettel said. My car's not doing well against Sebastian Vettel and Alonso, maybe even. There is a competitive teammate next to me, which Vettel or Alonso didn't say, considering that I think the last time racing, Alonso was racing, he was racing with Van Dorn, which he was, there was a clear difference. And like Vettel was racing against Stroll, who, I mean, did have his good weekends against Vettel, but like still, Vettel is clear. Vettel was clear. Um, I think that's the difference between probably Alonso and Vettel in that when they said they retired for the first time. I should say the first time, foreshadowing Vettel returning. Um, but yeah, enough talk about Lewis retiring. I can wish. I can wish. It would just feel like that seat just becoming empty would cause so much chaos. I I'll talk about something else I think that maybe could happen if that happened. Um, yeah, let's move on to Ferrari. Move on to Ferrari. I've said, and I stand by this. All depends on reliability. I saw a bit of reliability issues in testing. I saw a bit in obviously FP2, a bit in FP1. I really think that Ferrari is going to have a big issue of reliability. I know they said they improved it a lot, but it doesn't seem to be working. I know they've got new management, they've shuffled the staff around. I just really think they're still going to struggle with that, even though all the work they put into, fixing that. Though I think when we've seen Ferrari at the top, like not struggling with reliability, they're fast. They are fast. Ferrari are fast. Um, I think that's something to watch out with. I think Ferrari could surprise us even this race, this quali in Bahrain. I'm talking about. If anybody's confused. Um, I think they could surprise with being up there. I feel like they could be challenging the Red Bull, challenging Aston Martin. I'm still shocked that it's like, oh my god, challenging the Aston Martin. You know, if you said that last season, it'd be like, oh yeah, okay, they're fighting for points, or they're quite a bit outside the points. You know, now you say it, it's like, um, it's like, yeah, Aston Martin's like the second best. Anyways, um, they could be a surprise in that I think they will be fast if they sort out all their issues. How fast though? I still think they're I still think they're below Red Bull, but I think they could give them quite a fight. I think it's another year of Ferrari maybe just not being good enough. But I definitely think they could show promise, and I think if they stay fast, then next year, maybe next year, when Red Bull's a little undeveloped because of loss of wind tunnel, could be this year. I think Ferrari need to stay on their heels, because either Red Bull fucks up this season, or next season they're not as well developed. I think I think Ferrari need to get over these humps of reliability really quickly. Hmm, otherwise it's like with Charles Leclerc in the new opening. Just like he's like leaning against the wall, like, oh, I hate life. And that's fucking. I love how much it feels like he just struggles with Ferrari. It must fuck with his head. I mean, look at what happened with Vettel, and it's like, Ferrari must. I think Ferrari are probably the team that are the most painful for their drivers and their fans. I genuinely feel sorry for Ferrari fans. Like Ferrari fans, you keep being fans of Ferrari, but at what point does it just test your limits? Um, yeah, but I think you can see some areas where the Ferrari are fast, and I think that's the thing to watch out for with Ferrari. Once they stop having that rear wiggling, shake that ass. Um, Once they stop shaking it, I think, and they get serious, I think they could be a challenge to Red Bull. I would say. Um, Again, I wanted to say Mercedes maybe would be more of the challenge to Red Bull, but I think Ferrari is still probably the closest challenging Red Bull, except for one other, which we'll talk about later. You already know. But first I want to talk about McLaren. The thing with McLaren is a lot of people are saying like, oh, they're the last team, or in the bottom three team. They're not even midfield team now. They're a back marker. For me, I think early on, fifth or sixth. I think they're fifth or sixth. I really don't see them dropping below that, but I could be wrong. I think they'll be inconsistent, as in that they could get all the way up to the fifth or fourth best team on a weekend, but then they could also drop back to the midfield, or drop back into the lower midfield, maybe even having a shocker of a weekend, kind of like they did last season. And then it's the question of like, do they get over this hump? But I think the only other thing I'd say with McLaren is they have showed some promise in FP1, maybe not so much FP2 of Bahrain. Um, that really makes me think they've already made some progress. I don't think they'll be as bad as everybody else. But but honestly, at this point, I'm seeing I'm having a hard time seeing them beating Aston Martin. That's why I'm thinking fifth, because like again, a lot of the others I'm not like looking too promising. I think the bottom five teams are decent midfield, but I don't think they're competitive midfield. Um, or well, actually, even the back markers aren't that bad. I don't think this year. But I do think there will be a section for two or three teams. Um, and then a few teams that may you know go back and forwards from midfield to back marker. But I want to say McLaren will be a fairly consistent, only fifth or sixth. Not great, but not as terrible as everybody else. The other thing I wanted to talk about was this is a hot take, I think, especially of how disappointed Norris has been with the team. I think if what I say about Lewis retiring at the end of the season, the only thing is there's one issue with that probably. If Lewis retires at the end of the season, or yeah, whatever, think I think Lando will be looking around like crazy. Like Lando obviously had his eyes set on Red Bull, but what if Red Bull decide to keep Perez or they don't, you know? It's like maybe Mercedes just go for Lando. And I think at this point in time, Lando accepts that. Lando just wants to get the fuck out of McLaren. I think he's lost hope. I think if he was smart, he would give it one more year, see how they do in 2024 once the new wind tunnel set up and all that, and they've got some time in the winter. I think they could be really decent. Best the rest next year. Maybe in the same position as Aston Martin, where kind of they could be challenging the top three teams. But it's hard to tell. I don't know what McLaren's doing. Why are they? I don't know why they're just in nowhere's land. You know what happened where they weren't able to capitalize off a decent enough this season. I will keep on going forward. I guess they did have a rough start early on, so maybe they do improve. It'll be interesting to see McLaren get into the mix a little bit. Let's see. I think I'm thinking maybe that'll be my hot take is that McLaren bounced back really well. You've seen a little bit of that, but for now we've got to assume they will not be best the rest, but they could be not far. Yeah, I think Lando couldn't knock on Mercedes' door. I think he could knock on Red Bull's door, but it really depends. Do Red Bull want, but at the same time, do Mercedes want to put Lando next to George? Because then it's like you get two like really like similarly matched drivers, and you have a Nico Lewis kind of situation. Or I guess they both have. Actually, no, they do both have a bit of an ego. I was like, gotta say, they don't have an ego like Weber does or something. I'm sorry on the Weber hate. Out of all the Australian drivers that I like Danny a bit. I like Oscar. I like obviously Jack Doohan coming up, or hopefully he's an F1 driver. Hopefully we see him in a seat sometime soon. I think I just don't think Weber's. I've never liked that guy, but yeah, no. I think he has a big ego, but and then I think Lando and George probably have a big ego in a different way to Vettel and Weber have, but I don't know if they would get along in that car. Would Max and Lando get along as well? Maybe as friends, but then when they start racing each other, Um, I think Oscar and Lando is a good pair in that case because Oscar's a pretty chill guy, and I think um, Lando might get a bit competitive, but I don't think Oscar will arc up that much, unless Oscar's balls just drop this season and he fucking turns to like a Fernando or like Kimi-esque driver where he's like fucking out of the way. It's just puts on a bit of muscle, starts wearing these fucking cool ass aviators, turns into this new and improved Oscar. Oh, that would be crazy. I do think Oscar needs a bit of that more killer instinct, but I don't think he'll get that this season or even next season. I think he'll develop that as he goes. I think, yeah, no, I actually no. Now that I think of it, Lando's probably screwed. Lando has to hope that McLaren does well. Otherwise, the only thing he could hope for is, and I think I misspelled reliability. Is that? Yeah. It's reliability. It's RELI, not REALI. I don't probably search that, but who cares? Chat. No, don't chat. I'm too used to streaming. Comment section below. Is it real? How do you spell reliability? If anybody actually watches this, tell me how you and watches this fully. Tell me how you spell reliability. Again, for anybody obviously tuning in, like just a suggestion. I don't know, have this on in the background. Don't be watching me like just talk for like an hour long. I think this is a good like background music kind of music to ears. I hope my voice probably doesn't sound that great right now, but hey, maybe I'm being a bit too braggy when I'm saying my voice sounds good generally. Hey, it's not me. Hey, people. It hasn't. It's not me that says my voice is good. It's other people. Sorry about that. If you could hear that. But yeah, no. But yeah, no. I'm moving on because I think we've spent a bit too much time with McLaren and stuff. Aston Martin. Yes. I'll say my testing observations and I'll kind of correct it to FP1, FP2. I think I was correct for most of it. I did put a question mark on my last kind of observation that I thought was going to happen because I was really impressed with someone. Um, could be best of the rest on a good day. I was gonna say Mercedes. They wouldn't even challenge Mercedes. I was like, there's no way. Come on, guys. Best of the rest of best. They could not get into the top three teams. And here we are watching FP1, FP2. I mean, things could change, but holy shit. Even if, unless they're sandbagging hard, Mercedes and Ferrari, or Ferrari, fix their reliability, Mercedes kind of find their grip a little, then maybe we could see. And I feel like that would be the boring, but almost the most likely is that that's might do fall back to best of rest. But still, that's crazy. That's crazy, even that they could do that well. But even if Mercedes do fix that shit, I do believe that Aston Martin could challenge them. So I'll take like a 50-50, and maybe I got that, technically could be right. We'll see. I am believing in this new one. Potential Alonso win or podium. If Ferrari and Mercedes keep struggling, I'm seeing a win. I'm seeing Alonso winning. I'm not seeing him beating Max unless it came down to strategy. I don't think that's much that fast, but then again, we could see Aston Martin put in the development, and then obviously Red Bull doesn't have much wind time, tunnel time, and whatever. What's the other one? But yeah, they can't develop their car as much, and maybe then Aston Martin get a bit closer. But then by then you would think Mercedes and Ferrari would also get a bit closer. that's the tricky situation where I think Aston Martin like next year or even 2025, they could be a really good team. I think that's what we're seeing right now. I think it's most likely that again they'll fall back to best the rest. But again, I think podium's very likely, especially this weekend in Bahrain. Ferrari, Mercedes a bit. I think you see like all of a sudden you see a Red Bull 1-2, Verstappen Perez, but then it's like who challenges Alonso for that third, And I think possibly an easy podium this weekend even. I think the Aston Martin will get a few podiums, and I'm thinking Alonso will get a win. Now, Dragovic called up to replace Stroll was my other observation because, like, I think Dragovic did a great job. I honestly think for someone, look, the only reason why I was rooting for Dragovic is it it suits my anti-Stroll agenda. I'm not gonna lie, I don't rate Dragovic that much. Even when Dragovic won the F2, I was like, yeah, no, I agree with other people like Logan Sargent or Theo Porsche or Jack Doohan or even a Wasa, guys like that who didn't win the championship but put themselves in a better situation to showed more potential maybe. Just got unlucky and then Drogovic got really lucky. I'd say Drogovic is probably one of the weaker F2 champs, but he really did impress me testing. And I'm thinking if Drogovic was to race this season, or this race this weekend, which is still possible, Stroll's and hurting, and then it's like, do they reevaluate and say you can't race this weekend? Drogovic gets in the car after, then that's the problem where it's like you probably would only get FP3 to have experience the car. Obviously, testing that's sure, but you need that FP1 and FP2 really. That's your like Nick DeVries last season at Monza. I think he got FP2. I don't know. He might have only done FP3. Um, I don't know what the rules are. Like, how late can you? I think you need to do FP3 to actually race it, do quali and race. I think that might be the cutoff point. I'm not sure, but maybe. Or honestly, the only other thing Aston Martin could do is they could just be like, probably want to be a good idea, just not race Alonso, Stroll's car and just have Alonso. I don't think so. I think there's still the potential that if Drogovic outperforms Stroll in the same car, I think Drogovic versus Stroll, I think Drogovic. That depends on how because I've said that Drogovic might even get pulled up next season, but the only thing I was thinking of with Drogovic was, I think later I thought about is like mm, Alonso needs a solid number two with Stroll bits, or maybe even Ricardo. So it's like more like that Ricardo would replace Stroll. But I was thinking even next season that is like if Stroll doesn't do well this season, then like Lawrence has to cut him loose. It's like at some point you have to stop being so so delusional. Um, so I really see. I could see drug, but then again, even Stroll with the if he was doing that well, like sixths, even with his wrist not doing too well, then it's like, oh, could Stroll be a bit close to Alonso than we think? No way. I would fucking just, oh, I would cry if like they were on par. If Stroll shows up as a really good driver and fucking as nearly as good or even better than Alonso, I would just there's so many things I want to say that I probably can't say on here because of YouTube and any other platform that I've put this podcast on. Again, we don't know. Maybe in the future I put on Spotify and Apple Music. I don't know. Probably not. I think we'll just stick with YouTube for now. Maybe Spotify. But I think just down to the community guidelines, there's so many things I want to say. But just general, also the maybe the more dark human in me coming out. But I'm like, I need to be a bit more family friendly on this channel. Want to say some things. I'm just letting you know with Stroll, I'd be really fucking upset if he did well this season. I want Stroll to be leagues behind Alonso. Like, please let me have my anti-Stroll agenda. I know it's so boring for like some people, because some people are like, oh, Stroll's hate on too much. He's a decent driver. He's a decent driver. I just say he's got a hard cap. Like, he's like, look at a lot of the drivers that are the same age as him. Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc, around the same age. Let's plus or minus 2 years. Max Verstappen, Lando Norris, George Russell, and even Albon showing more promise, I'd say. It's like, and then you look at Stroll, it's like, maybe he's approaching his hard ceiling, I don't think he's got too much potential. He's decent, but he just doesn't. Whereas, like, you take a chance on maybe like a Drogovic, who maybe probably has the same ceiling as Stroll, but you don't know. You don't know. That's the same thing with like someone like Mick Schumacher. It's like where Hulkenberg's ceiling is. You give Mick just one more year to prove himself. Come on, Has. But I'm honestly glad that Mick's out of that Has anyway. So whatever. But yeah, we'll see. I think Dragovic won't just get testing has shown that Dragovic won't just get the call up. I think based on the merit that he's the next one up. The next one up. Yeah, the fact that he's just like he's the next one in line. He's shown enough that I think he could he's proved that he's decent enough to replace Stroll. He could be a decent, solid driver to second driver to Alonso, even in his rookie season, whether that be sometime this season or next season. Hopefully next season. Really, I'm sorry in the Stroll hate. I just can't with Stroll, man. I'd rather Latifi. Latifi was just a solid guy. I know he sucked, and like we want people in F1 that are good. We don't want people like Latifi, hogging us spot. But at the same time, Latifi's such a nice guy. Like, he was the better Canadian. Stroll just I don't know what it is about Stroll, apart from the fact that, again, the fact that he acts like an entitled fucking billionaire son, which is the same thing with Latifi, I guess. But Latifi was a nice, maybe slightly entitled billionaire son, You wouldn't think Latifi is like a rich daddy's boy. But yeah, no. Let's move on to a few of the other ones. I think most of what I said was probably going to be on the top 5 teams. Let's go through the top 5 teams real quick. Considering I've already taken 45 minutes. Probably won't. Most will probably go up to an hour 30 mark. But I think we can finish these last 5 quicker. Because I don't have as much to say. I think it was the top 5 that really like really like ooh. Top bottom five. My general consensus is that it's going to be a lot of like switching. It'll be like a game of pass the parcel in the midfield. Um, so yeah, once Alfa Romeo was another team. I'm actually like, I was hyped. I've and there's been points in FP1, FP2 where I was like, am I wrong about them? But then testing, I'm basing this off testing. Is that I think they've showed a lot of just like I wasn't expecting them to be this good, but I think they are going to be a dark horse in the midfield where I feel like they will float from the best the rest to the bottom of the midfield on a weekend to weekend basis. I could see them doing well some weekends, other weekends maybe not, but I don't see them dropping even too far. Maybe they'll be consistently better than the Williams and Alpha Tauri, unless Williams again have a really um, good race, I think. Or Albon just goes God mode. Um, yeah, but honestly, maybe it's just bias because I do like that livery. Why does no one like the livery, Alpha livery? I'm like the Alpha livery is the best livery. I mean, obviously you have to look at the Red Bull and the Ferrari and just go, oh, they're classics. You know, even the McLaren looks good. Even all the teams that haven't really changed it up. As looks good, obviously a little, but it's so hard to see that black on the side. Really, to be honest, so it just looks like last year's car. I think Alpha's just. I can see the similarities between the Ferrari and how it can make it a bit confusing, but I just love it. I just love it. But no, I think they're surprised. I think they're going to be surprisingly good this season. I don't think, unlike Aston Martin, where Aston Martin will maybe at times be in the top three teams, I don't think I see Alfa Romeo going that far up. I don't see like Bottas getting a podium, for example. But Alfa Romeo are solid. I just think maybe they're a little bit in no man's land, I could say. But hey, uh, decent points. You're preparing yourself for when Alfa Romeo leaves. Then the season becomes Sauber, then it becomes Audi in 2026. We'll see how long Bottas wants to race. We'll see how long Zhao stays there. Yeah. Zhou? Zhou. Zhou. I read it as Zhao, but it's Zhou. Zhou. Um, we need a nickname for him because his name's too hard to say. I'm sorry. We need a nickname for Guan Yu. Um, but in saying that, I do love Zhao though. For a guy that I was probably not too big on. I was like, oh, he's just a paid driver. He's really impressed me, which is where my second point. I think my observation came from is I think Zhao. I don't know why I'm struggling with this. I should just. I don't know. I need to listen to pronunciation. I should probably just stop saying the other Alfa Romeo driver. I think he will be. I think probably not better than Bottas just yet, but I think I see that it's closing the gap. I think he's really improving quite a lot and really impressing. I think a lot of people like, oh, he's going to be the worst driver on the grid. I don't. Hmm, I'm on the hype train. I'm on the hype train for him beating Bottas. I don't know. I think it could happen, but I don't know. Could we see a change of the hands, a bit of the passing of the torch? The better driver, be determined, Bottas becoming the second best driver at Alfa Romeo. In that case, Bottas probably retires. It'll be interesting to see when Bottas retires. Does he do a Vettel and just goes, well, what am I doing? What am I doing? And or does he do a Kimmy where he's just like, ah, I'm driving, I guess. It's fun driving. Whatever. I think Bottas is a bit more like that. He's just enjoying driving. Um, I don't know. I still think Bottas is better, but I might be a bit closer than we think. Or a lot of people think, I think. Um, let's move on to Haas. What I saw from them in testing made me think a hot take would they could be fall back to one of the worst teams. But then you see Hulkenberg uh go like P5, I think he ended in at the end of FP. Really solid, putting in fastest laps practice. And again, we got to remember Latifi also put up in a fast lap on practice. I know that was in the rain. Like, I don't know. The weather was, conditions of the track were a bit. I want to say maybe they are a consistent midfield team, but I really want to say they will find themselves as a back marker. I don't know. I really don't know because it again that doesn't fit my other agenda of the Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg. Fucking Hulkenberg's gotta be shit. He's actually got it to the car and done really well. I'm sorry guys, I'm such a negative person. I probably hate more drivers than I like. To be honest. Okay, no, to be fair. Drivers I'm high on. Max, Alonso, Oscar Piastri, I like uh, Signs. I'd say Signs. I want to say Gasly. I mean, there's a lot of hate for Gasly recently. Um, I think Zhao, Zhao. I don't mind Bottas, but I probably wouldn't put that in Bottas even. I'm not a big fan of Magnus. In Magnuson's alright. Um, do we include Drogovic in there? We do include Jack doing. Um, I think that's seven drivers. I like, and then there's like people like Kevin Magnussen, uh, Boras. Um, I mean, I don't dislike Charles. I just don't. I don't vibe with him. Um, don't dislike Lando. Just don't vibe with him. Uh, um, oh yeah, I forgot to say Yuki as well. No, DeVries. So that's probably about eight. Um, Yuki, don't five there. I think five plus. And then there's a whole lot I'm not a big fan. Lewis, George, Stroll. Actually, Logan's another one that I'm like, it could be worse. Um, wait, is there only three drivers that are not big? No, Ocon, Hulkenberg. Yeah, it's probably a bit of near. I reckon it's about a nearly 50-50 of drivers that I like and drivers that I dislike. I probably have that dislike, probably one that list is a bit too big. I really think, like some F1 fans are like, you shouldn't dislike any driver, but come on, Ocon exists. Come on, guys. I can still have a hold a grudge against Ocon. I'm sorry, jeez. I'd feel bad if I met any of these guys and they heard me talking shit about them. I'm just sorry. I'm sorry. Maybe you would be different if I got to know you. It's just drives to survives. Paid music. No. But there's probably a few I probably wouldn't. I probably get along with, but not like big friends with. That's what I'm saying. And like, hey, that happens to everyone. Okay, guys, don't get don't get upset, Lewis Hamilton. there's some people you just don't really like. Okay, it's just all right. 100% of people don't have to like you, you know. But yeah, no, going off track. Yeah, I'm pissed that Hulkenberg's doing well. Um, but we'll see. I really expect Hulkenberg to get into that car and not do great. Um, or Kevin Magnussen to do better than him, and then it's kind of like a, "Hmm, well, we should have seen this coming. He hasn't had a full time drive since 2020. Oh, he hasn't drove consistently since 2020 when he had two races in that Aston Martin. What a surprise! But no, he's actually cut down. I don't see Hulkenberg doing amazing though. I mean, maybe he could get a podium. Maybe he could sneak in a podium. And there's like everybody's on the woo Hulkenberg trade, and I'm like, girl. just be. I'm still salty about Mick Schumacher. I'm not against Hulkenberg. I just don't. I don't. He doesn't fit my agenda of that. My Mick Schumacher agenda. Again. There's another driver on the sidelines that I do like. There's so many drivers on the sidelines that I'm like, get rid of all the drivers I don't like. Put the drives there, and I'll like all 20 drivers. But no. This is a bit of unknown. Haas is a bit of unknown. But moving on, similar. I think Alpine is a bit of an unknown where I'm still mixed on them because, like I said, Gasly and Ocon are saying the car feels good. We still think we have play of decent pace. And I feel like they turn on the turn up the engine FP3 qualifying, and then they're like all of a sudden they're getting consistently getting into the top, and maybe probably like beating McLaren, uh getting close to beating Mercedes, maybe if we that's Mono going to be the second third best team. um but I'm not really being pressed by him, but that's why I think like if Alpine, unless Alpine are sandbagging crazily, why did I sounded a bit Irish there? Why did I go a bit Irish? Mm. Channeling my inner Paul the Rest, and I do know he's Scottish. I'm pretty sure. I just want to double check that because I don't want to be called out. Um, he's British. Ah, yeah, Scotland. Um, but no. Holy shit, my face is. I want to maybe this over, just because I noticed the white of the that was reflecting really bad on my face. No, I think Alpine the only one thinking they could be good. I will see, and I think we'll have an answer this weekend. I swear to God, if they do jack shit and Gasly's just still like, oh, the car feels really good. No, that was quite Irish. The car feels really good. Still plenty of place. We just need a few upgrades. I swear to God, when Norris is out there punching walls for his carving shit, Gasly and Ocon just like it's like it's like Omar's holding a gun is like it's like we can't have people shit talking our organization. It's already been damaged enough by Alonso and Piastri and even Zhao ditching us. just just the media person next to them has just said, I've got a gun in this microphone. I'm not afraid to use it. I can't think of any other way that like Gasly and Ocon are so like positive about that car. But I suppose you do have to be somewhat positive, even if you don't. have a great car. I think the same thing with Mercedes and Ferrari, where they're saying it's still early days, we might be able to fix it. But at least they're being honest that they are struggling a little, or the car doesn't feel right. Let's see. Maybe Alpine just put on the turbo button, but still, it still confuses the fuck out of me. I don't have a proper observation for them. If I had to guess, I'd say they're low midfield. But yeah. But Williams, I did say, well, Upworks, Williams, the first of the back markers, question mark. I think they showed pace. They really showed pace. I think I think they will end up beating AlphaTauri a decent amount. Hold on. So you take Discord real quick. Just been tempting me. Okay, I'm gonna put this on so I don't distracted. I think, yeah, I think they could be decent. I think might be able to sneak into the midfield. I think they could get some good results. Albon's just goaded. Really, Albon's him. Albon was the underdog of this last season, and this season you might be an underdog. The only other person I'd say who's more of an underdog maybe could be Piastri this season, especially if he doesn't get to show his real talent because of how McLaren. But if he continues to beat Norris, because he has been going faster than Norris in a few practice, but that might change when it gets to. But there's some hope that Piastri could go faster than Norris. Anyways, I think, yeah, no, I do think they could score some points. I really do think they could get into some points by them. I mean, also, I think Logan Sargent, what I saw in testing, not so much in FP1 and FP2 of Bahrain, the Bahrain weekend, um, is that I think Logan is decent. I'm generally surprised by that he is a bit closer. Albon really shows you the difference between him and Latifi. The fact that he's doing better than Latifi is probably already good. I think, yeah, Sargent's already showing his improvement. It's got to be the question of how much of improvement over Latifi is. Is he still that driver they need? Is he as good as they say, or is it kind of like when you look at his stats and it's like 19th in F3 first year, 7th the second, or fourth the third, fourth the second year of F3, and the third year he's like 7th. Then in F2 he was only 4th or something. And anyways, like it's like, ooh, those numbers aren't looking too good, Logan. Sorry, my cold's a bit playing up on me. Fuck. Lucky I'm nearly done. I think Sargent's impressed me. I really think we could see a closer battle at Williams. I still rate Albon higher, but who knows? I don't think, I'm probably like 99% sure that Logan won't be the better driver at the end of the season. I have high hopes for Albon. Probably a lot of people have high hopes for Albon after last season, so he's maybe getting to the point where he's maybe a little overrated. But I think he challenges Albon somewhat more than we expect. AlphaTauri. AlphaTauri, I'm thinking, and this is the last one, obviously. Still 10, right? Yeah. I'm not missing someone, right? Wait, Red Bull, Mercedes, Ferrari. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. I keep on it just looks to me like I'm missing one team. I don't know why. Oh, Andretti, the secret, hidden, invisible 11th team this season. No, I think obviously we heard a lot about them potentially getting sold. Then they go back and say, no, actually we're not getting sold. This is all rumors. We'll see. Sometimes those rumors, when they deny those rumors, even though they deny the rumors, they come true anyways. It's like, well, things changed. Um, yeah, no, they haven't been too impressive. And the only thing, and honestly, on this topic of that, I might as well say, I think the only really advantage to AlphaTauri is to have somewhere to put the Red Bull juniors. I think Red Bull needs a place for at least one of their juniors. So unless Red Bull make a deal with another team, potentially Andretti, if they buy it, say, or one of your drivers has to be a Red Bull junior, yeah, blah blah blah. Which Andretti might go, yeah, but if it's the terms and conditions of buying the team, then I think they're better off keeping AlphaTauri. I know they're using it to promote their brand as well, where I think it's not making the AlphaTauri clothing brand look good. Um, but I don't know. I think maybe you rebrand AlphaTauri to something different, and you put AlphaTauri on the Red Bull or something, and you promote the clothing brand, or have Red Bull the Red Bull drivers promoting the AlphaTauri, and then you turn the AlphaTauri into something else. But then, like, you might as well say then sell it to Andretti. So that's a weird kind of situation. But yeah, no. On to what I actually thought of them. I think especially FP1, FP2. There was a few times where Yuki went like P5 in testing. It's like, ooh, De Vries not doing well, which I was surprised about. I think De Vries got potential, but we'll see. Maybe he settles in the car. Again, one of those drivers where like everybody's like boo De Vries. I'm like, after Monza, I know. Okay, guys, he could have got lucky, but Monza, it's some shit. And I think he's a generally nice guy too. Like, I think that's the thing too about it. Like, we saw him during the weekend where he's actually a decent guy. He's a decent, solid guy. Um, yeah, and I don't rate Yuki too high, but I think in general, I do think I want to say they could sneak into the midfield, but I'm not too confident. Maybe they will be the just the consistently worst team, and that maybe that will and make them end up selling a car. But that because that's what really confused me, because I understand why they were so shit last year, because like they were probably more focused on developing the Red Bull, and they like let go a bit in the cat championship kind of push. I think they would have had a bit of room to improve in 2022, or they wouldn't have been as pressed to take some resources away, or they would be now take some resources away from the mother team, the sister team. I don't know what the dynamic is. This is only what I hear. Correct me if I'm wrong. But that's the thing about AlphaTauri. I don't understand about this shit. I understand why Williams hasn't done well, because obviously there's so much with the technical director getting sacked so late in the season, where the new technical director can't really even do much for the team, and it's like next year's the best chance for the new technical director to take the car in a different direction. Blah blah blah. And obviously the whole Yost Captur. I'm probably saying it wrong. correct me. Correct me. Or just, just I don't know. Crucify me if I'm wrong. If you really like Yost, crucify me for mispronouncing his name. I don't know. Um, but I generally think I could understand why Williams are bad. I could understand even why Alpine are kind of terrible. I've been saying though they're just losing a grip. Renault in general and the sport really losing their grip on F1 and Alpine. And I feel like maybe I hate to use a video game term, but they're a little tilted, tilted by Alonso. That wouldn't affect the people like actually making the car, but that would affect the top leadership. The people making the car wouldn't be so tilted. They're just like, I'm doing my job. They're probably not too upset about Oscar leaving. They're just like, my job's to make a car. That's their problem. Um, that's big boss daddy Otmar's problem. I hope no one calls Otmar that. And I'm sorry I called him that. But you know, I'm really struggling to see why AlphaTauri is not doing too well. It's kind of like, how the fuck is Aston Martin doing well? How the fuck is AlphaTauri doing so shit? But yeah, no, I generally from what I've seen of them is again cheating with the FP2, FP1, FP2. I think they're not, unless they release the sandbags and show that they're like now the seventh best team, which is still isn't that much great. It's like they're fighting with Alfa Romeo now. Um, you know, I don't think they're gonna do much. And yeah, no, I'm not too confident on my sneak into the midfield. But hey, yeah, but that's that. Any other things I should say about? I think in general though, I think in general testing really showed that the regulations are working. The combination of the cost cap and the current regulations, you know, making the cars a bit closer and stuff. I really think it's done its work in a way that like there's maybe Williams and AlphaTauri aren't really in the back markers. It's just one huge midfield, and even like the only person that's not really in the midfield is Red Bull now. Where you could argue that Ferrari and Mercedes are in the midfield with them struggling, but once they slow they won't be. And even Aston Martin now, you know, getting a bit closer. Best the rest, even better than Mercedes and Ferrari. I think the regulators are really doing a really good job of balancing the fields. And I'm loving that. I'm really loving that. I think it's an all time Formula One is at an all time high right now, I think. I'm sorry if I'm terrible to listen to, by the way. I'm really sorry. I maybe some people are into that like whole sick voice. Yes, read me more. Let me hear the let me hear that throaty. Actually, some people do like that if they like fucking corpse. That's one thing I never knew. Like, I understand. It's like corpse is actually thick, guys. You're fetishizing his voice. That's like it's not a defect, but it is actually a defect. I want I that sounds harsh when you say it like that, but it is kind of like but no. Maybe it adds a bit more fire to my voice. But no, I'm sorry if it's hard to sit through. But yeah, no, I think testing's really been great at showing that the regulations are working, and I'm hyped. I'm hyped for this season. I'm hoping that testing continues to show that everybody's kind of all over the place and Red Bull's the only one. I would like even let Red Bull to fluctuate a little. Like have some high stakes. Like I want Red Bull to win, although I'm down for Alonso. I'm down for Alonso World Drive Championship. I don't want Aston Martin to win, but I wouldn't mind Alonso beating Max. But I also want to look. I'm also looking at Max potentially getting to the 8 World Drive Championships, and the logic is he wins this year, which would take him at 3. Maybe doesn't win 2024. Maybe that can be next year's. 2025 gives him 5. Then in the new era, maybe if he doesn't retire at 2020 after 2028 like he says he is, fucking retire, Max. You've still got plenty of life in you. Then maybe him. And then like if the other teams get a bit too competitive, like it's like whoa. Let Max get to the A championships. I think he could have the potential. I just think Max will probably just like call it quits before that. Sadly, it's like you need to care a little bit more about breaking the record, Max. We want to see you prove yourself as the fucking GOAT, man. But I would be really happy for Alonso to win as well. So I mean, I wouldn't mind a bit of drama with Red Bull. Maybe lagging a bit behind Aston Martin. But we'll see. Maybe things. That's the thing that I think we'll see very early on is whether things go back to the typical Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes, or some combination of the three, and maybe it's a bit of a mix up in the three, which is still entertaining. It'll still be entertaining, like whether would Red Bull be best this weekend or Mercedes would be best, or would Ferrari then for a few races running actually be the best car and then Red Bull's coming back at them. I think that could be interesting, but it would be so much more interesting if you also put Aston Martin in the mix and you put in a midfield that could potentially challenge each other. I don't think any other midfield teams are going to challenge the top 3. McLaren was probably closest, but McLaren's they've done something shit. But yeah, no, yeah, it's exciting. It's really exciting that testing has shown us that things might be up in there, and we'll see if it stays like that. But yeah, no, have I got anything else? No, not really. Yeah, thank you for watching. We'll have another podcast. I want to say after during the Australia and Miami break or something, is it? Let me just check real quick. I think it's Australian, between Australia and I know it's after Australia and Azerbaijan, which is going to be fucking shit break. I wish something would replace China. Give us don't fucking do this to us, man. We're gonna have two summer breaks, two summer breaks basically this season, which pisses me off. But anyways, I mean, yeah, whatever. Even the fact that like there's still gotta be like every 2 weeks. Actually, no, yeah, every 2 weeks. Up until Australia, and then maybe it gets Azerbaijan and then Miami are back to backs. Italy and Monaco. I need to learn how to say that properly as well. And then even Spain's a triple header. Canada, Austria, Great Britain's a triple header. Okay, we'll have plenty of fun. We'll have plenty of fun. A bit later, we need to get a bit past this little not much F1 to start us off. It sucks that like they don't just give us a lot of F1 to start off with, so we can get a little bit bored of it. Then we start to get a few more like 2-week breaks or something. Just bombard us with F1. Why don't you? God damn it! Like now we'll fucking meet Blue Bolt. will be blue balled, especially during after 3 rounds. It already goes on like a nearly a month long break. Actually, that's 3, 4 weeks. I mean, it's not that bad, I guess, but still, yes, 3 weeks, I think. Um, 31st of March. One, three. Yeah, about four. About four. Yeah, but still, I don't know. I want to say between that break, but I think maybe what will happen is in maybe even 2 or 3 weeks' time, I might do another podcast. I mean, there's a few things I've got in store. I think the most likely is I want to do like a really like bold driver's prediction for 2024. Like if I saw in the comments of one section, I was like, what would be the craziest like driver lineup for next year would be. I want to maybe include that, but I don't know if even that would be a full video, full podcast. Maybe I can make that a shorter video. But that would just be like I did actually put some driver lineups that I'm like they're plausible, but not exactly possible. But if all shit hit the fan and it went crazy, the driver market went crazy this summer. Fucking hell, it could be possible, but um, so that's just a wacky, just like the boldest predictions I've ever made, which I don't think are gonna happen, but like, they're not out of the question. Um, yeah, no, yeah, no, it's fun, and I'm glad to be back. We'll try to get semi-consistent. Obviously, I'm unemployed right now, so when I get a job, schedule might slightly change. Maybe in the next, again, that's why I'm thinking like in the next few weeks, I'll focus on a bit on a few other things I've got to do. Obviously, with job hunting and preparing myself to job hunt. I've got a few projects for my portfolio I want to work on. I think yeah, again, three weeks is a good break. I think to go. Okay, I've done that. That's time because this is still more of a hobby than obviously consist like week by week. And I don't want to do the typical. Oh, here's the review. Here's the review of like the post testing observations. Probably the closest I'll get to like a stereotypical podcast. I want to do something that's crazy. Even with the predictions, I don't want to be like I don't want to be I don't want to be too boring. Like, oh, who's got to be in 20th position? Who's got to be in 19th position? I want to come up swinging. And I think that's the thing about this challenge. I just want to mix things up, make a few different, and hopefully have some bold or hot takes. Because I love my hot takes. And even if I'm wrong, I'll be like, my bad. That was just my headcanon. It would be cool if my predictions came true. Let's be honest. I know I'm wrong, but imagine if it did happen. I will take it. I will take fairly good if I'm wrong though. I think I'm 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 fairly secure to say well in some ways that to say that oh yeah, okay, well fair enough. I'm gonna be wrong about 90% of the time with some of the fucking predictions I make. But I think no, I think I've done a fairly good job of post testing. To obviously change things a bit, but I think I've done a fairly good job of predicting, of observing, and kind of determining where things are going to be. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I might be completely wrong again. I've said there's two things that can happen. It either goes back to the normal, boring top three teams, or it goes everything goes to shit and it's all mixing and fucking mixing and matching, and Aston Martin are actually showing themselves as the second best team and challenging Red Bull for wins. That would be mad. But yeah, no. So I'll probably do something like that in 3 weeks with the bold 2024 predictions. Like I've already said what have I said? Well, I made some 2024 predictions, but I haven't said like the exact. Like this will be like bold, like so bold. I'm like 90% sure like a lot of them aren't gonna happen. But you know, there might be a few changes I need to make to that, or I'll say, okay, so I made this a while ago, but now I'm thinking maybe it's more gonna be this than that. I don't know. Yeah, no, yeah, well, it was fun. Maybe we'll slowly work on getting that F1 manager a bit more. We'll look at into F1 manager, yeah, maybe possibly kind of work on maybe make a few of that. I think I've got one that's like nearly edited. I say nearly, it's probably like halfway edited. Um, we'll release that and then like maybe start to look at the third episode, which starts in 23. Yeah, again, we'll see. We'll see if I want to. We'll see how much time I put into this. I probably shouldn't put too much time, but at the same time, I want to keep myself okay. I just I've got a few things on my mind, and I want to distract myself. Not gonna lie. Um, what's better than dealing with shit than just overworking yourself? No, I won't even overwork myself. But I've like that's the goal. We just do so much shit. I forget about all the other things. Not gonna lie, it's not healthy, but it works. Uh, but yeah, no, yeah. See ya.